In the following set of tutorials, we're going to take a look at properties in Flash ActionScript. Now, we're going to be dealing with common properties that you find with common objects, common visible objects, let's say, in ActionScript 3. Some of those properties that we'll be dealing with are things like visible alpha, x, y, x scale, y scale, rotation, width, height, and then also mouse location using mouse x and mouse y. Now, there are different types of objects, of course, in Flash, and some objects are visible objects such as movie clip or text or sprites, and then some objects are things such as sound or data or XML objects, and they all have properties as well. We just wouldn't be able to see those properties. So anyway, in this tutorial, we're going to be doing a number of different things. We'll be setting properties for different objects by default. We'll be setting the rotation to this to 45 degrees at first. We'll be setting the location of this circle over to the left using code. And we'll also be setting these objects to a certain setting, like alpha 50% visible defaults, by default when you open up the file, and that will be very easy to do. And then you'll have these buttons to click on in order to change the properties of those particular objects. Now, do note that the ones here on the left that are red do have instance names that I've given them. The ones over on the right do not have instance names. So always check your instance names to make sure that they're correct. So in the next tutorial, we're going to begin by setting some simple properties. Actually, let's go ahead and do it now. We'll set our two properties here for our two objects so that they are where we want them to be. Now, the first one we have here is the box underscore MC. So let's set the property of this to rotation set to 45 degrees at first when we open up the file. Let's go to our actions label, make sure that you're on the actions frame or the actions layer, and go ahead and pin that script. So when we start this file, we want to make sure that that box is rotated. So we will insert a target path for that. I know it's box underscore MC. So we'll say this dot box underscore MC dot rotation, and you'll see that rotation comes up as one of the properties, and then equals 45. That's as easy as it is. If you test your movie with Control Enter, you'll see that box is now rotated to 45 degrees. Now let's change the location of the circle. This circle right here is currently at x392 by 242, and we want to move it to the location of this other circle. So I'm going to turn off the lock on the background layer so I can find out where that circle's at. And right now it says 280 by 300. So in order to move this, be aware that the location x and the location y are two different properties that we have to set at the same time. So this is going to be the circle, and I know that's circle underscore MC. So we'll have the x location is set to 280, I believe. And then if we copy all of that, then we can do the y is set to 300. So let's go ahead and check and make sure that that is correct. So that should be x and y. If we come back and look, we have x 280, y 300. So now when we start our file, you'll notice that our circle has moved to where it needs to be. Now this is going to be a common thing that we do when we create objects that are dynamic. We will create the objects and then actually place them where we want, but those will be for later tutorials. Just want to go through changing the basic properties here. Now the next one, in the next tutorial, what we're going to do is mouse location. But what I'd like you to do now is go ahead and change the rotation and the location by using functions. Now with the rotation here, I do want to point out one thing that I have here. What we're going to do is add a plus right before the equals. And what this does is this takes whatever is the current rotation and adds 45 degrees. So if we test our movie now, we should still get 45 degrees. And if you use this in a function, it will just add 45 each time you click. Save your work and go on.